Exposed. How one black maid's incredible dance transformed a millionaire's heart in 30 days. Clara moved through the grand halls of the Caldwell estate, her heart heavy yet hopeful. She was a 32-year-old black maid, navigating the pristine surfaces and extravagant rooms of a millionaire while juggling her 2 young children and an ailing mother at home. Each stroke of her duster felt like a dance, albeit one pushed into the shadows by life's demands. But when the music played in her head during breaks, her spirit leapt. With every swirl and sway, Clara found a fleeting slice of freedom, unaware that someone was watching. Thomas Caldwell, the reclusive millionaire, had his own burdens. Grief shadowed him after losing his wife years prior. He wandered the halls of his mansion like a ghost, burdened by wealth, yet thriving on isolation. It was as if Clara's dance reached deep into his chest, tugging at a joy long buried. He found himself drawn to her, captivated by the graceful movements expressed between the dust and the polished floors. Suddenly, Clara was not just a maid. She represented the life he lost, a life filled with love and light. One afternoon, Clara mustered the courage to invite Thomas to a community dance event. She wiped her hands on her apron, her heart racing at the thought of reaching out beyond the customary walls. "You should come," she said, a hopeful tremor in her voice. Thomas hesitated, torn between his comfortable yet suffocating world and the raw beauty Clara offered. With a nod, he agreed, and Clara felt a rush of excitement, a leap of faith into the unknown. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the date of the dance approached, whispers twisted through the elite circles. Thomas's friends raised brows and smirked, their judgments echoing through the corridors of wealth. Is he really considering mingling with the help? They whispered, their disdain palpable. Clara felt the tension rising, each comment a weight on her already burdened shoulders. She wanted to scream, to show them that her dreams were bigger than their narrow minds could see. With every step closer to the dance, Thomas felt the strain of his social circle pull him back. Yet, the bond he was forming with Clara loomed larger. She embodied courage, grace, and the joys of life. As the community dance approached, doubt gnawed at him. Would he let societal pressure shatter the connection they were building? Clara, standing on the edge of despair and hope, prepared to face the harsh reality of their worlds colliding. A harsh judgment came from within when a blaring incident brought injustice to light. It was the moment that would eventually define them, an explosion of colors and emotions, where Clara's dance transformed into a rallying cry against the prejudice that threatened to tear their worlds apart. And as they took a stand together, unified in their authenticity, the world around them held its breath. Would their bond withstand the storm brewing on the horizon, or was it destined to crumble under society's weight? Just as they found courage in each other's presence, shadows loomed closer, a revelation that could forever alter their paths. Clara and Thomas stood at the precipice of change, unaware of how deep the divides of inequality ran, and if love could truly bridge these chasms. Clara stood in front of her mirror that night, the glow of a single bulb illuminating her reflection. She had practiced her dance steps countless times, but this was different. This dance held the weight of dreams and fears intertwined. The community dance was more than just an event. It was a stage where her world collided with Thomas's. Could she truly share a moment with him in front of everyone? She touched the fabric of the dress. She borrowed a neckline that danced beautifully with her curves. Yet, in the deepest part of her heart, she felt like an imposter. "What am I doing?" she whispered to herself, her voice trembling in the stillness of the room. At the same moment, Thomas was sitting alone in his expansive living room, surrounded by opulence that felt hollow. He fiddled with a glass of whiskey, the amber liquid swirling with contemplation. Every detail about the dance pushed against him like a vice: the smirks of his friends, the societal rules they all followed, the whispers about class divides. He wanted to rise above it all, yet a part of him feared what stepping outside his gilded cage would mean. Could he truly embrace Clara and the change she represented? As evening fell, Clara wrapped her shawl around her shoulders, stepping out into the cool night air. The stars seemed to twinkle with an unspoken promise. Her heart pounded, a silent drum echoing through her chest. As she reached the dance hall, the music floated into the night, shimmering with laughter and chatter. Inside, the atmosphere vibrated with energy. Couples swirled on the dance floor, laughter mingling with the notes of a lively tune. Clara took a deep breath before crossing the threshold, each step narrowing the gap between hope and reality. But then, she spotted Thomas across the room. Dressed in tailored elegance, his presence was magnetic, the kind of glow that pulled the eye and stilled the heart. When their eyes locked, the noise faded. It was as if the world had narrowed down to just the two of them. Her spirit soared as she made her way toward him. "Clara," he said, a hint of apprehension clouding his voice. "I can't believe I actually came." "Neither can I," she replied, her smile brightening the moment. But she saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. She knew this was no ordinary dance. It was a battle between their worlds. Before they could begin, the music shifted to a slow melody. Couples swept around them, but they remained frozen, caught in a moment where the unspoken weighed heavily on the air. Clara felt the need to break through. She reached out and took his hand, a simple gesture that sparked raw emotion. "Let us dance," she said, her voice unwavering. They stepped onto the dance floor, their movements initially hesitant, like two strangers testing the waters. But with each beat, Clara leaned closer, feeling the warmth radiate from Thomas. Slowly, a rhythm took hold. Together, they twirled and swayed, their burdens momentarily forgotten. Yet whispers of disapproval swirled around them in the air. Clara caught snippets. "He'll regret this. How could he? She's just a maid." Each remark stung like ice water. But with Thomas close, she felt a surge of courage. Their bond was more than an act. It was a statement, an explosion of defiance against the constraints of their worlds. Yet even in this moment of joy, shadows lurked. Just then, Clara noticed a figure entering the hall, someone in a tailored suit, someone with authority. Her heartbeat quickened as she recognized the stern expression on the newcomer's face. What would he do? Would he expose their connection? The anticipation churned within her. As the music swelled, Clara and Thomas fought to stay anchored, ready to face whatever storm was brewing. Would they stand together, or would their different worlds pull them apart? The dance was only beginning, and in that moment, everything hung in precarious balance. Clara's heart raced as she held Thomas's gaze, the world around them fading into a blur. Each smile, each shared laugh from the crowd echoed like a taunt. The newcomer's presence hung over them like an ominous cloud, casting shadows on their fragile moment. He stood near the entrance, arms crossed, surveying the dance floor with an unsettling authority. Clara's breath hitched. "Who is that?" Thomas whispered, following her eyes. His face clouded with concern, the connection they shared starting to feel more dangerous than liberating. Clara's voice trembled slightly as she replied, "The estate manager. He oversees everything. He won't be happy seeing us like this." The words hung heavy between them, as the music played on. Clara felt the floor beneath her shift. The laughter transformed into a cacophony of harsh whispers. She could almost see the judgment in the stares directed their way. Every spin and twirl they performed was met with cold scrutiny. "We can stop," Thomas suggested, his grip tightening around her waist. "No," Clara insisted, fiery determination igniting in her chest. This was their moment, a testament to bravery and defiance. "We have to show them we won't hide." Thomas looked torn, but as he searched her eyes, something flickered, a glimmer of that unbreakable bond they shared. He nodded. They danced on, pushing through the whispers that threatened to drown them. Clara felt a rush of exhilaration, her heart pounding in rhythm with the music. She twirled and spun as if every step could rewrite the rules that tethered them. Then, the estate manager stepped forward, cutting through the crowd like a spear. His presence loomed larger as he strode toward them, a storm brewing in his gaze. Clara swallowed hard. She had seen this man enforce the rules, extinguishing sparks of rebellion with a single word. "Thomas." The manager's voice boomed, silencing the music. "You have to be joking." Is this the path you want to take? Clara glanced at Thomas, her heart sinking as she waited for his response. Would he be swept back into the world they had tried to dance away from? Or would he stand his ground? Why does it matter? Thomas replied, his voice steady, though Clara sensed the tremor within. This is who I want to be with. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Clara's chest swelled with both fear and hope. Perhaps this was the moment he would claim his truth. Do you really think this is what is best for you? The manager asked, confidence drenching each word. Are you willing to throw away everything for a maid? Clara's breath caught in her throat. The fight in Thomas's eyes faltered, his head tilting ever so slightly as doubt creeped in. Would he waver? But Clara remembered how hard she had fought to be here, how the weight of their worlds had never mattered to her during those stolen moments they spent together. She took a step forward, placing herself alongside Thomas. This isn't just about wealth or status. It's about who we choose to be. Her voice rang clear, unwavering against the mounting tension. The murmurs in the crowd quieted, and for a brief moment, Clara felt power surging within her. Are you willing to fight for it? She asked softly, her eyes locked onto Thomas, willing him to see the truth. He paused, the weight of her question anchoring him in that moment. The world around them fell silent, and all eyes were on him. Would he choose the comfort of his past, or risk everything for something genuine? The music began again, the soft notes wrapping around them like a lifeline. Clara's heart fluttered with hope and fear, waiting for his answer. Just then, Clara caught a glimpse of movement in her periphery. A figure was making its way towards her, and her heart raced. Would it be someone to support them, or would they face a new conflict? In that instant, everything shifted again, and the dance took on a new urgency. What lay ahead would determine not just their night, but their futures. Would this be the moment where they took their stand? The figure who approached was shrouded in shadow, and Clara's heart thudded painfully against her chest. It was impossible to tell if their intentions were good or bad. As the person drew closer, the crowd parted like waves, muttering softly, their eyes darting between the newcomer and the dance floor's heart of conflict. Clara's throat went dry as recognition struck. It was Margaret, the head maid, the one person Clara knew had her back. But was this really a moment for a hero? An uneasy tension thickened the air. Margaret stepped forward, the confidence with which she moved commanding respect. Enough. Her voice boomed, amplifying the shockwaves hanging in the air. What is going on here? Just a little dance. The estate manager sneered, revealing the disdain that crackled in his voice. This is hardly appropriate. Margaret turned to face him, unyielding. And why not? Are you afraid of what you don't understand? Afraid of what is different? The crowd fell silent, her questions piercing through the tension. Clara's heart tightened with admiration. She had seen Margaret fight for respect before, but never quite like this. She shared a fleeting glance with Thomas, who still looked torn, as if he were balancing on an emotional tightrope. The stakes had never felt higher. Afraid? The manager scoffed. She's a maid. You can't possibly believe this is a good idea for him. No, Margaret replied, stepping forward boldly. You can't possibly believe you have the right to dictate who anyone should dance with or love. An electric silence enveloped them. The crowd seemed to hold its breath. Clara's heart raced alongside the ticking seconds. Would Thomas take this opportunity to deepen his commitment? Margaret's words hung in the air, challenging the very structure of their world. Clara felt herself lightening a little, hope flickering like a candle's flame. As if sensing the shift, Thomas straightened, courage washing over him. Margaret's right. This isn't simply about status. It's about feeling alive, about choosing the person who brings joy. That is Clara for me. The murmurs of the crowd swelled again, but this time it felt more like an undercurrent of support than judgment. Clara stared into Thomas's hazel eyes, seeing strength blossoming where doubt had lingered moments ago. Then, just when Clara thought their dance was reclaiming the night, a voice from the back of the crowd rang out like an unexpected thunderclap. You seriously can't be that naive. Life isn't a fairy tale. Clara's stomach twisted. The words belonged to her sister, Eliza, who emerged from the sea of spectators, her face flushed with anger. You're playing with fire, Thomas. Who do you think you're fooling? Someone who has done pretending. Thomas shot back, his voice resolute. I'm taking my stand tonight, and I won't let anyone silence my heart. The air felt charged, and Clara trembled with mixed emotions. One by one, Clara's friends shifted uncomfortably, their loyalties tested. Would they rally behind her, or would Eliza's words sever the fragile connections she'd forged? "Clara, please," Eliza begged, desperation weaving through her tone. "Think about what you're doing. This isn't the life we've fought so hard to achieve." Clara's heart sank, caught in a whirlwind of love and family loyalty. Could she really choose this path against those she cared for? Under the weight of Eliza's gaze, Clara felt a conflict boiling, her heart strained between duty and love. The music faded, leaving an echoing void as she contemplated what it meant to fight for not just Thomas, but for herself. She glanced at Thomas, who waited, his eyes reflecting faith, hope, and something deeper. The decision loomed like a storm cloud, heavy and unavoidable. What choice would she make as the crowd watched, holding their collective breath? Would she tell Eliza that love was worth the risk, no matter the cost? Or would she allow fear to steer her back into a cage? As the shadows around them grew thicker, Clara's heart raced not just from fear, but the sheer power of a choice waiting to be made. Clara felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The gathering crowd felt like a living thing, holding its breath, their collective gaze boring into her. Thomas was there, strong and resolute, but Eliza's disappointment loomed just as large. It twisted her stomach into knots. What was she meant to choose? Eliza's voice broke through the noise, like an anchor pulling her back. "Don't throw everything away for a fleeting moment of passion. You know what this world is like. You can't afford to be naive." Anger flared in Clara, but it quickly turned to fear. The truth in Eliza's words rattled her. This wasn't just about dancing or romance. It was a risk, one that could tear their family apart or drag them into a world where they felt even more like outsiders. But could she live with the regret of a choice never made? Margaret, sensing the rising tension, took a step closer to Clara. "What do you want?" she asked softly, but firmly. "Forget them for a moment. What does your heart say?" Clara's breath hitched. Her eyes met Thomas's, and what she saw there ignited something deep within her. The fear may have been present, but there was also a spark, a connection that felt worth fighting for, even in the face of uncertainty. She let the weight of the moment settle in her heart. "I want to dance with Thomas," she finally said, the words lifting off her chest like a heavy stone. "I want to choose love. I want to choose joy." The moment hung suspended, and the air shifted. A sliver of hope flickered through the crowd, a quiet ripple of understanding beginning to flow. Some friends stepped forward, their eyes filled with encouragement. Could this really be happening? Thomas stepped closer to Clara, the corners of his mouth lifting. "You won't regret this," he promised, his voice barely above a whisper, but filled with conviction. "We'll find a way." Eliza's face paled, world crumbling. "You're making a mistake. This isn't just about tonight, it's about our lives." "No, Eliza," Clara countered, her own conviction solidifying. "This is about living those lives, not just surviving within them." The crowd buzzed with energy, shifting beneath the charged emotions. Clara could feel her heart racing and warmth coursing through her veins. She took a step forward, the room seeming to lean into the moment, breaths held in anticipation. "Let us show them what it means to truly live," Clara declared, looking back at Thomas, who grinned with exhilaration. He extended his hand, shimmering light illuminating the space between them. With a nod, she took his hand, the world around them falling away as they moved together, two figures wrapped in the intensity of their own truth. The music began to swell anew, urging them to rise against the tide of hesitation, against fear itself. As Clara stepped into the embrace of the dance, a wave of joy flooded her being. She was free. They were free. This was her choice, not just for them, but as a declaration for every dream silenced, every heart bound by fear. Yet, just as they spun into the rhythm of their newfound connection, a loud voice sliced through the night. "You think this foolish act will change anything?" It was the estate manager, anger curling his lip as he moved through the crowd. "This is just the beginning. You're playing a dangerous game." Clara's heart dropped. As they danced in the light, shadows still lingered at the edges. Was she prepared to confront the fallout? The challenges ahead echoed louder, just as thrilling as the dance itself. In that moment, Clara realized that their choice had set off a chain reaction in a world that was anything but simple. What other battles would they have to face? How far would they go to stand by each other? Clara closed her eyes, letting the music drown out the chaos and fear for just a moment longer. The dream of their love suspended beautifully in the air. The music pulsed through Clara's body, each beat a reminder that they were alive and fighting for something real. But as she twirled, the estate manager's cold words slithered around her thoughts like smoke, threatening to choke the joy from the moment. Thomas tightened his grip around her waist, sensing her hesitation. "Focus on us," he whispered, his breath warm against her ear. "Just the dance. Just us." With each movement, Clara drew strength from him, the rhythm anchoring her in the present. She lost herself, letting the world fade away. The crowd watched, some faces filled with admiration, others torn between a desire to support her and a fear of what might happen next. Eliza's scornful expression lingered in Clara's mind. What would her sister think when the dust settled? Would they still share laughter, or would the chasm between them deepen? Suddenly, a loud clap cut through the air, jolting Clara back to reality. The estate manager had stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "This is not a circus. Stop this nonsense at once." A crackle of tension ran through the crowd, and Clara felt the gaze of dozens pressing down on her. But Thomas remained undeterred. He smiled at her with that same fierce passion that had ignited her resolve. "Dance like you mean it. This is not just a moment. It's a movement," he encouraged, his eyes fierce with determination. And just like that, she surrendered to the music. They spun and swayed, weaving through the uncertain air until the melody enveloped them completely, a cocoon of sound and movement. The crowd began to clap to the beat, slow at first, then building into a unified rhythm. "See, they're with us," Thomas exclaimed, his excitement infectious. Clara could feel the shift in energy as more people joined in, their feet tapping, voices rising, laughter escaping like sunlight breaking through clouds. Eliza stood frozen, the disbelief in her eyes evident. Clara caught a glimpse of her sister's face and felt a pang of sorrow. This wasn't just about her decision. It impacted everyone she loved. But at that moment, she remembered the weight of regret. If she let this chance slip away, it would haunt her forever. They danced harder, pouring their hearts into every beat. Clara no longer worried about the fallout, how they might be labeled afterward. Their dance became a testament to their defiance, a spark of hope in a world that had tried to dim it. The estate manager fumed at the side, but his words was starting to fall upon deaf ears. The crowd was alive now, and Clara felt themselves at the center of something far bigger than anticipated. But before she could even savor this victory, a loud crash jostled her back to reality. A vase had toppled over, shattering on the floor, the echo mirroring the tension that crackled in the air. "Enough," barked the estate manager, his fury palpable. "You will regret this uprising. You think a little dance will change your fates?" A palpable silence enveloped the room as the music faltered, but Clara stood tall, backed by the spirits of her friends and family. "Maybe we won't change everything, but we can change this moment." Cheers erupted from the crowd, a wave of support crashing over them. Clara's heart soared. This wasn't just their dance anymore. It was a chorus of voices rising up against the status quo. Could they really find unity in the chaos? Would the sound of their hearts beating together pave the way for a brighter future? Clara looked at Thomas. Would this spark ignite into a full-fledged flame, pulling everyone into its warmth? They locked eyes, and for an instant, no one else existed in that crowded room. Then the estate manager stepped forward again. "You think you can defy the order with this nonsense? Just wait and see what happens next." The ominous weight of his words hung in the air, setting Clara's heart racing. What would unfold from this moment? Would they be able to maintain their courage when the real consequences emerged? Clara held her breath, the air thick with uncertainty. The crowd's excitement lingered like a sweet perfume, but the estate manager's wrath cast a long shadow. She could feel the tension thrumming beneath the surface, but they had come too far to back down now. "Thomas," she whispered, gripping his hand tighter, "what if he really does something?" But there was a fire in Thomas's eyes. His belief surrounded them both. "They're not going to let him silence this," he assured her, his voice steady. "We've changed the game tonight." In that heartbeat, the energy shifted again. The crowd rallied like a tide rising against the shore, and Clara sensed the resolve strengthening all around her. Laughter bubbled anew, hands clapped in rhythm, moving with each beat like a living pulse. Together, they were alive. Clara led the dance, each twirl a testament to her defiance. She traced her arms toward the ceiling, drawing the crowd into her orbit, and they responded in kind. She could feel the rhythm lifting her spirit. They weren't just protesting, they were celebrating their existence. The estate manager seethed, his face flushing crimson as he struggled for control amidst the chaos. "You think this will end well?" He shouted above the din, but his voice was waning. As the crowd danced freely, his authority eroded. "Change needs a spark," one voice from the crowd yelled, joining Clara's resolve. "And tonight, we are that spark." Clara turned, eyes scanning the sea of faces. Friends, family, and even strangers united in a moment of shared courage. Their joy felt electric, like a bolt of lightning striking through the dimness, illuminating paths unseen. With new energy, Clara took a deep breath and shouted, "Together, we can fight for a brighter tomorrow." That declaration sent another wave through the crowd, and people began to chant, "Together, together." But even as they celebrated, doubt crept back. What would be left when the music faded? Clara glanced at Eliza again, her sister's face conflicted, torn between loyalty and fear. She knew the dance wouldn't change everything overnight. Tension swirled at the edges of their elation. The estate manager was not done yet. "Mark my words," he asserted, stepping closer, the threat palpable. "You will regret this. You can't defy the status quo. You're just a maid." Clara felt the fire deep within, igniting a boldness she hadn't known existed. "I'm more than just a maid," she exclaimed, echoing the very sentiments of those around her. "We all are. Our voices matter. Our dreams are worth fighting for." The crowd erupted once more, fists raised high. Clara's heart raced. She had become their voice, channeling every heartbeat into a symphony of hope. Just then, Thomas stepped forward beside Clara, his presence grounding and strong. "This isn't just for us. This is for everyone who has been silenced, overlooked, and pushed to the margins." He looked around, his voice a clarion call. "This moment isn't about dancing. It's about rising up and refusing to back down. We won't be just workers anymore tonight. We become a movement." The air vibrated with determination, their resolve echoing through the hall. But the estate manager merely glared, a predator cornered. "Do you truly think your unity will last?" He sneered. "What comes next will test that resilience." With a sickly grin, he turned on his heel, disappearing into the shadows of the grand estate. Clara's heart pounded violently. What awaited them in the aftermath? Would the dark clouds looming ahead extinguish their flame? And where would they find their strength when the real battle was just beginning? She took Thomas's hand, deep breath mingling with fear and exhilaration. The night had become a canvas for change, but the real story was only starting to be painted. Was their dance merely the prologue? Would they be brave enough to turn the page?